The Oracle of Luna is a podcast with me, Bridget Engels, as your host. Here we have conversations with real live, present-day goddesses who are actively and courageously doing their magical work in the world. Each episode is a bewitching journey with relevant discussions on topics such as Wiccan pagan spirituality, writing, culture, magical practices, art, ritual, and the craft in its many forms. Merry meet, and welcome to another episode of the Oracle of Luna podcast. I'm Bridget Engels, your host, and today we'll kick off 2024 and Season 3 with my amazing guest, Ava Parker. Ava is the High Priestess of the Goddess Temple of Orange County. She is the founder, director, and curator of the Museum of Woman, and she is the author-host of Queen Teachings for Women. Welcome, Ava.
Oh, it's so nice to be with you in this new year, Bridget. Thank you for the incredible work that you have done. I was refreshing my memory by looking over the amazing women you have interviewed. What good work you are bringing to the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that feedback. It is definitely a labor of love, and I have a lot of passion for allowing the goddess to speak. So, with that said, how are you doing? How are you doing today, Ava?
I'm great. I'm great. And just as an aside, it's Ava Park, not Parker.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
Ava
right,
Park.
right.
Ava
Right.
Park. Yes, thank you for correcting me on that.
Yeah.
So, Ava, how did your journey with goddess spirituality begin? Can you tell us a little bit about how you were called to the goddess or how the goddess was called to you?
Yes, of course. I was always interested, Bridget, in religion and spirituality. And as a teenager, I started studying Rosicrucianism, esoteric metaphysics, many different things. But nothing I studied, particularly the so-called mainstream religions, Catholicism and others, none of them really completely clicked. I felt like they all had some truth, but I didn't feel that sense of, yes, this is it. I was raised Episcopalian, but I was constantly getting reprimanded for asking questions that they couldn't really answer. So, so I kept searching and studying, and as part of my exploration in my late 40s, I went to Egypt with a spiritual group to visit ancient temples, and I had a life-changing experience with Sekhmet at Luxor, and it really changed me. And after that, I began to study in depth. I took the 6-year women's theology training with Reformed Congregation of the Goddess in Wisconsin. I took the wonderful Ruth Barrett's Dianic Goddess Spirituality classes with Circle of Aradia. And
Yes.
I took the 2-year priestess training with my brilliant colleague and friend Vajra Ma, the Ancient Future Sisterhood.
Mm, wonderful. So, were you brought up in the US or West Coast, or I'm just curious?
I was brought up all over. My dad was sort of a pirate and an adventurer, and he dragged us all over hell and gone with crazy things. And because my mother had little access to her queen archetype, she allowed him to lead the family into all sorts of disaster. But I was raised partly in California, also on Guam and Scotland and Mexico and other places. But I do consider myself basically a California girl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I always like to hear people's background and what shaped them. And mm, sounds like, you had a pretty colorful childhood.
Colorful is a great way to describe it.
Yeah. So you began taking goddess teachings and classes and studying the goddess. Did you enroll in college or was this after college?
Oh, this was long after college.
Okay, got it.
This
Okay.
was this was when I began my serious goddess studies. Uh,
Okay.
it was in my early 40s.
Yeah. So did you go to college or did you study religion
Yes,
or?
I went intermittently. It didn't seem to interest me, the things that I was able to learn. I studied art history, and I got a few little glimpses of goddess in the statues, ancient statues, and that intrigued me.
Yeah.
That probably was an early start of my goddess interest. But I was more a self-studier. I was more of a self-starter and interested in studying what I wanted to learn, not what a curriculum offered me.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so what interests and inspires you to dedicate yourself to women's empowerment and the goddess now?
Well, Bridget, here's a big news flash. The world is a mess.
Yes, it is a mess.
It's a mess. It's clearly not working. And so when I was a little girl, I could not understand how the world could be such a mess.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 10 years old, I learned in school a new word. I remember this very clearly, incompetence. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's it. All these adults running the world are incompetent. And, as I mentioned, my family was led by my very kind and loving, but very dysfunctional dad, who was kind of a pirate and an adventurer, and he lived rather chaotically. We were always broke. We were always moving to some new place. I went to over 30 schools.
Oh,
And
wow.
my
That's hard.
mom,
That's hard.
well, it teaches you flexibility.
Oh, sure.
My
Resilience.
mom just did whatever he said, because this is one of the aspects of the queen archetype that she wasn't able to bring forth in herself, is vision. Mom didn't have a vision. She was taught by this male-centric dominator model culture that the person who has the vision in the family is the father, and the wife is just supposed to follow along. And so
Yeah.
she did whatever he said. It's like, okay, we're going to go live on a boat now. Okay, now we're going to sell everything and move to Mexico and run a tin mine. It was chaotic. So
Yeah.
I remember that day I learned that word, going home and looking at my parents and thinking, our lives are not working. Mom and dad are incompetent. I love them, but I cannot count on them. And I don't know why. I don't know why they don't know what to do. So that
Yeah.
started me on my journey to, and I think everybody has this journey one way or another. That was my journey to find out how things worked in this world, why they didn't work, and what we could do about it. What we could do about it.
Yeah.
How could we fix this? It was
Right.
We have this beautiful planet with all these resources, and yet everything was still messed up. Violence and war and addiction and cruelty. And I just had this overwhelming desire to figure out what was wrong and how to fix it. So I worked on a lot of causes, from suicide prevention to the environment to animal rights. And I started an animal rights group, which got very big in my early 30s. And yeah, we had a bunch of successes. We got some terrible experiments closed down, and we stopped the Rose Parade. We stopped the whole Rose Parade one year, and we got a GM experiment on pigs stopped. And
Wow.
yeah, we had some successes, but as I looked at it, I felt like we were just putting out these little bushfires here and there, but the whole forest was still burning. And after 10 very hard years in the animal rights movement, I was pretty burned out myself. And that's when I discovered finally what many other women already know, that patriarchy was the underpinning to all that was going wrong with life.
Mhm.
I finally figured out that it was the core problem to everything. It was the underpinning of all of these different social issues, all of poverty and injustice and cruelty to animals, oppression.
Yeah.
So I decided that that would be a cause worth giving my life to.
Yes. And so you set on your path to helping women at that point?
Yes, and the people who influenced me, mostly women, but some men also. It was my friend and colleague Vajra Ma who taught me to always thank and acknowledge my teachers. So of course, I can't remember even all of them, but many of them were feminists, of course, in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 68 now, so I was actively reading Betty Friedan, Andrea Dworkin in the 70s. And of course, the brilliant Mary Daly, whose work just completely transformed my thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
She,
Yes.
she
She was
did a great.
a big influence of my last guest, Glennis Livingstone, on my
Yes,
last
yes,
podcast. Yeah.
right. Who is doing amazing work herself. Thank
Yes.
goddess. Another early influencer was Z Budapest with her
Mm-hmm.
wonderful books. And
Z was on my show as well.
yes, yes, I saw that. I look forward to listening to that one. And Ruth Barrett of the Temple
Mhm.
of Diana, who was ordained by Z. Jade
Yep.
Rip of blessed memory of RCGI and Reformed Congregation of the Goddess in Wisconsin. And those were the women who influenced me on the Dianic path. And I'd also like to acknowledge the amazing Reverend Crystal Boujol, who founded the only woman, other than mine, the only woman's church in Los Angeles in the 80s. She was a great teacher and she ordained me. And I also owe a lot to a man, the great metaphysician Stuart Wilde, and he's crossed over now. I worked with him personally for 10 years. And, it was funny that in the end, he too came to Goddess. His last book was Goddess Gaia, Grace in the End of Days.
Mm.
And so I think every wise person finally comes to the realization that the template for love is the good mother, not a big father in the sky. And of
Right.
course,
An
my
abstract male figure fueled by capitalism.
exactly. And of course, my treasure of a friend and colleague, the amazing Vajra Ma, who originated the tantric dance of feminine power, astonishing goddess woman. She has really helped me to evolve my thinking over the last 2 decades, and not only thinking but feeling. She's a woman of astonishing wisdom, and
Hmm.
she's one of those hidden teachers. You might not have ever heard of her because she doesn't advertise. She doesn't, it's like if you're ready, you will come into her sphere of influence, and she is a woman to be reckoned with. She's an incredible wise treasure.
Nice. Well, and you are as well. So, what is the Goddess Temple of Orange County, and how was it formed? Because we know that you are the high priestess there.
Well, and let me just say jokingly, people call me the high priestess, but I do not call myself that. I it don't when I think about that, and this is no judgment on other women who use that term. I know many brilliant women who do use that term for themselves, but for myself, I think of high and low, and the high priestess. There's this feeling for me that it high means above and the opposite to high is low, and I don't think of my priestessing that way. I call myself the presiding
Mm.
priestess of
Okay.
the Goddess Temple, not the high priestess. But of course, like I say, no judgment on that term. It's just not the term that I prefer for myself.
Hmm.
So,
Was it in was it something that was handed to you or that you sought out, or was this goddess temple in Orange County already in existence, or did you
oh,
form it?
oh, no, no. It is a, I did found it.
Okay.
Uh, the Goddess Temple of Orange County is a federally recognized church, and our slogan is the power of woman to set things right again. And so this speaks to what we believe, that woman, the female of the species of human, is the natural power, the natural authority, the template for humanity. Man comes out of her. She is the primary. And even our language speaks to that. God does not include goddess, but goddess includes God.
Yes, right.
Uh,
She includes he.
all of that, yes.
Yeah.
So woman is the rightful template, and it's a patriarchal reversal to have man as the template. So we say that the woman is the ancient natural spiritual authority. That was something that the great Vicky Noble taught me. And
Hmm.
everything in the end is a spiritual matter, because what is spirituality? We say it is simply relationship, our compassionate and reverent relationship with all life, all that is. And
Yes.
the phrase setting things right
Hmm.
speaks to how we recognize that we are currently living in a dysfunctional patriarchy that
Yes.
serves no one.
No one. And it exploits and does not respect.
Correct. Absolutely right. So women are slowly reasserting, as we remember ourselves and our power, we're slowly reasserting our natural leadership. But we still live in a male-centric dominator model culture. And most people think this is just the way it is. This is just the way humans are. Humans are just violent. That it's always been this way.
Right.
Like fish swimming saying, water, what water? Because it's all around us, and we're not educated enough to know differently.
So how did you come to found this goddess temple?
Yes, let me say one more thing, and then we will address that. We added the word again very deliberately, set the world right again, to point to the fact that if you study ancient history, you see that there were and still are a few matriarchal cultures that worked far better than this one in terms of shared good and justice, peace, and prosperity. And I honor Heide Gettner Abendroth, the brilliant scholar who has set this forth in her book, Societies of Peace, and her new book, Matriarchies. Can't remember the rest of the title. But most people know nothing about this other way to live. So, Heidi teaches that the word matriarchy, most people think it means the reverse of patriarchy, meaning women dominate, but it doesn't, of course. As you know, it
Mhm.
means it's an egalitarian society where women and men lead together. Women are responsible for the distribution of resources, and women are honored for their life-giving powers. So, this is our phrase, the power of woman to set things right again. And this is what we have to head towards. We have to find modern ways to lead the world in a woman honoring society, because what is good for woman is good for life. What is good for man is just good for man, not necessarily good for everybody. But
Right.
what serves woman serves all of life. So some 20 years ago, I was going to Circle of Aradia's seasonal rituals, which were in Los Angeles, and I got so tired of that long drive. So I looked around Orange County for something in my neighborhood, a women's circle, and I didn't find very much. And I thought, well, there must be other women who feel as I do. So I founded the Goddess Temple to be a center for women's spirituality. And we started meeting every Sunday for Goddess Sunday services in my living room. And
Hmm.
it quickly expanded to the point where we needed a professional meeting place. So we decided to have an official church. And I remember when I went to the city of Irvine Business Council to get a business license, I was shocked. We were denied. It was
Hi.
13, it was 13 men on the city council. And the reason they gave for not allowing us a business license. I think this was back in 2002. The reason they gave, and this a man actually said this to me. This is a direct quote, words from men I'll never forget. They said, "There's no goddess, so you can't have a goddess temple."
Devastating and so wrong.
And here's
Wow.
something that most people don't know about our early history. The waters were seriously muddied by
Yeah.
another who was using the name Goddess Temple. And we were just horrified to learn that this was basically a prostitution ring using the name Goddess Temple to hide behind. And
Oh,
her website, had pictures of,
yeah.
salacious pictures of women on swings with their legs spread. And she was saying that the Goddess Temple was a place of sexual healing. Her name is Corinna Clark, and she goes by doctor, although I don't know what she's a doctor of. And she still runs it. She has YouTubes of cam to cam experiences and
Ugh.
blah
Huh.
blah. So and the women
So did
are,
you have to change your name, the name of your
well,
temple, or?
she really worked it. The women are called priestesses, and I was really horrified, Bridget, that
Yeah.
this ancient sacred form of women's
Right.
sexuality was being used as a front for women to be prostituted. And I called the police and I complained, and they said, "Oh, we can't do anything because she claims it's her religion." We tried to buy the URL goddesstemple.com, but she wouldn't sell. She said she was making too much money. So that just shows you where we are in patriarchy,
Wow.
that a misguided
That's
woman
sad.
could use women's spirituality as a shield to make money exploiting vulnerable,
Women. Yeah.
yes, vulnerable women. So
Ugh.
we fought for our business license. We finally got it. We opened our doors, and every
What year was that?
I think that was 2003, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So 20 years ago. We found out that the phrase goddess temple really has been contaminated by patriarchy, because every day men would come in asking for massages.
Oh no.
And
Oh, that's
they would look
terrible.
around, at all the goddess statues,
Ugh.
and they would slowly get the feeling that they were in the wrong place. And, we would explain to them that we were a women's church, and they would kind of go silent and sort of creep out quietly. I did train all our priestesses, all of our volunteers, to never shame or embarrass these men, because as dysfunctional as this male-centric culture is, even men going to prostituted women are in their own twisted way looking for goddess. I believe that.
Mm. Well, moving along, so you started it in 2023, the doors opened, and what goes on there? What do you have sabbats or
We
events?
started in not in 2023.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, it was
2003.
2003. And for 18 years, we had Sunday services every
Okay.
Sunday. We're open as a museum during the day, the weekday, and we had Sabbats, and which we call holy days. We tried not to use language that we thought would be cliquish or off-putting. If you were not, we wanted to attract mainstream women who might not know anything about Wicca, might not know anything about paganism, about goddess spirituality. So we didn't use words like witch or sabbats or
Mm,
uh, casting a circle, even though
mm,
we did all of those things. We wanted just the average woman to be interested in women's spirituality, and find that when they came here, they would feel comfortable no matter what their religion was. And that was pretty successful. Now in 2020, we had been around for 17 years, 18 including at my living room, and COVID came along, and the Orange County Board of Health closed all churches and museums. And we went along paying our rent, even though we couldn't use the space. But month after month went by, and finally we did close our doors. And it was painful to close, because we had We decorated our 3,200 square feet
Oh.
with goddess statues. Each room was dedicated to a different culture. We didn't want to be Eurocentric. We wanted to show goddess veneration as it was the world over in every culture. We had beautiful altars with candles and enactments that women could do that were evocative of the culture or goddess of that exhibit. It was very, very
Hmm. That sounds
interactive.
beautiful. So, you mentioned the Museum of Women. What is the Museum of Women, and what is its purpose, and what does it offer?
The Goddess Temple of Orange County is the women's spiritual circle of the Museum of Woman.
I see. I see.
So
Okay.
Goddess Temple events are women only, and museum events are for everyone. All of our beautiful museum statues are in professional museum storage, and we are looking for our next space to open up the next museum where the Goddess Temple, the women's spiritual circle, can hold its regular spiritual events.
Ah, I see. So when you walk into the Museum of Women, what do you see? Mostly artifacts, art, sculpture.
All of that and
Okay.
interactive exhibits where you would approach an exhibit with maybe a big huge statue of a goddess, perhaps Sekhmet. We have a statue that's on a step pyramid over 15 feet high. You approach her, and there's a small sign. If you don't know anything about goddess spirituality, you don't have to, but there's a small sign that tells you what you can do to interact with that exhibit. It
Mm,
might
okay.
be like some incense, light a candle. It might be some other kind of enactment that would have been something that a person in a couple thousand years ago might have done in a goddess temple.
To connect with the goddess. I see.
Okay. Right.
That's beautiful. And so, can you tell us a little, moving on, can you tell us a little bit about your queen teachings for women?
My family was so dysfunctional because my mother didn't know about her queen archetype. And this is why we even have a patriarchy. If women were connected to their inner queen, patriarchy would melt naturally. So, after a great deal of research and study, I developed an archetypal perspective for women called the five powers of woman. And there are, of course, many female archetypes living in all of us, but five of the core archetypes for women are maiden, mother, queen, wise woman, and hag. And each one of these is both a phase of life, but also a set of powers that lives within each woman. And what we can do is access each one fully. And when we do, a woman's life starts to come into better balance and she can experience more peace and prosperity and power.
Yes, and I love that because it reframes every women's philosophy and ideology to to suit women and to make sure that women are supported.
Right. So the maiden is the young girl from about first moon to about
Sure.
birth. She's like Diana. She's virgin in that ancient sense of meaning needing no man to complete her. She
Mm-hmm.
is for herself, and her focus is to explore and experience life for herself. And she has no to-do list, and she's not beholden to anybody. She is for herself. In this male-centric dominator patriarchy, the maiden in woman is commercialized. Her
Mm.
natural youthful beauty, her abundant Shakti, are merchandised by men, and some broken women like Corinna Clark. And maiden sexual energy is used to sell everything from hamburgers to cars. So she's naturally joyful, but when she falls into imbalance due to our patriarchal system of abuse and exploitation, she can become people pleasing and
So
do.
just to move along here, Ava, because we only have like 10 more minutes, I just wanted to see ask you, how is goddess spirituality relevant in 2024? How can we advance women's empowerment now in this precarious time for women's rights?
I believe that we are coming to what may be the disastrous end of patriarchy's power, and we will need to move forward into the future with a vision. And I
Yes.
believe that goddess spirituality has what we need now. I believe that women will be the next rightful leaders of humanity. And there may be an apocalypse. Everything may come crashing down, and we may have to rebuild. We help women remember the basic tenets by remember of goddess spirituality as we see it. Other women have different visions and versions, but we remember ours, but with the word rose.
Hmm.
R for reverence for life and respect for she who brings life. O for oneness. All is one. There's only one of us. S for sacred. All life is sacred. And E is for eternal. All life is eternal. Energy never dies. It just transforms and changes forms endlessly. So if
Yes. So to
women,
honor the sacred within each woman can develop and advance her empowerment and her connection to the goddess.
and it's very, very interesting. Many perspectives in goddess spirituality view goddess the same way. Some women may take offense to this, but hear me out. They view goddess spirituality in the same way as mainstream religions view God. In other words, it's kind of a single entity outside ourselves to which we look for blessings and
Yeah.
wisdom. So we say, most goddess women say goddess is immanent rather than transcendent, but our songs and chants indicate otherwise. I mean, listen to
Mhm.
our chants. I walk with the goddess, goddess, she walks with me. How about we all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return? These chants show that many of us still think of goddess as something separate from
Right.
ourselves.
We
And
are goddesses. We take our
yes,
power. We are
ex-
sovereign.
you understand the path to power is to get that there's only one of us, and you are goddess walking through her
Yeah.
own land. You are goddess talking. You are goddess seeing through your own eyes. And this is how goddess, in my view, the one consciousness joyfully creates over and over again through.
All right. Thank you so much, Ava. I just wanted to, we only have a few minutes left, and I want to make sure that we have a minute left for your amazing invocation. So before we jump into that, what is your website and or social media that people can learn more about you and your temple and your
The
teachings?
best way is to get on our email list. Yes, we do have a Facebook page, but the very best way to connect with us and attend our Holy Day rituals, we have some wonderful ones coming up this year, is to
Okay.
just email us. And yes, we do have a website, museumofwoman.us, and we do have Facebook pages, but just email us and then we will send you some interesting information that
Okay.
can help you. And
Awesome.
we also give
Okay.
free gifts.
Thank you very much. All right, Ava, I'm going to leave 1 minute for a short invocation and to start our new year with positive intention and take it away. And then I'll end the podcast. So go ahead.
Ah, great mother, living in us with all our powers, powers of the maiden, powers of the mother, powers of the queen, powers of the wise woman, powers of the great hag, Hagia, holy woman. We walk as you. You are not separate from us. There is only one of us. As we go forth into each day, our compassion, our reverence for life radiates out from our smile, from our heart, from our bodies, the bodies which never lie, which see the truth, which gently offer the truth to all, that we may all move forward into a beautiful future together, a culture honoring woman, protecting children, and honoring life. It is so, it is so, it is so, and so it is.
Blessed be. Thank you, Ava, for your radiance and all that you do in service to the divine goddess. And blessed be. Thank you so much again for being on my show today.
Oh, Bridget, thank you for the work you do. And I look forward to talking with you again and perhaps exploring the different archetypes of maiden, mother, queen, wise woman, and hag, because
Yes.
that's what we're offering this year is
Okay.
to help women feel those powers and understand what those are and access them for our benefit.
All right. Blessed be. Thank you so much and hail goddess.
Blessed be. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye bye.